Welcome to episode 400 of the Shared Security Podcast. 400 episodes. That's a milestone. I honestly never imagined back when we started the show back in 2009. Over the years, we've talked about everything from the early days of social media privacy and Facebook controversies to the rise of cloud security, AI threats, and some of the biggest data breaches in history. So today, we're taking a step back for a retrospective look at where we started, how security and privacy have evolved over the last decade and a half, and what lessons we've learned along the way. We'll talk about the topics that have stood the test of time, the surprises we never saw coming, and of course, where we think things are headed next. So whether you've been with us since episode 1 or you just started listening last week, thank you for being part of this journey and joining me to look back at 400, technically 527 episodes of Shared Security are the co-hosts that have been here alongside me on this journey, Scott Wright and Kevin Johnson.
Good day.
Hey. Wow. That's all he has to say. Hey.
Yeah, there's nothing else to say.
Well, we've celebrated milestones before, right? 100 episodes, 200 episodes, 300. I think it's the fourth time doing this.
We
just
prefer
keep
milestones to
going.
gallstones.
Yeah, and usually we've invited a special guest. It's usually been like Jason Street or someone to provide additional entertainment during these milestone episodes. And this time I actually wanted to do more of a retrospect in terms of since 2009, what have we talked about on this show? And I found it interesting that I leveraged AI to actually do that research for us. So I gave an AI LLM, basically the podcast RSS feed, and it did some analysis, which I actually find is interesting. So let's just talk about the top maybe 3 things that I think are themes since this podcast started in 2009.
Sure.
Number 3 was user behavior and education. So no surprise there. I mean, Scott, you're a big part of that conversation.
Sort of my thing, I guess.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Your fault
if
that's number 3.
Totally your fault,
Yeah.
Yes. Number 2 was data breaches and incidents. We had 135 episodes.
Which that is not surprising, but dang it, I'd like that to change. I'd like to have fewer of those to talk about.
It's just not changing. I mean, that is just the way of the world, right? And the number 1 topic that we've talked about for 213 episodes is privacy and surveillance.
Now, we talked about before we started recording. This is based on show notes and title, right? Like you didn't run this through AI to do listen to the episodes and tell us what to talk about the most. Yeah. Because my curiosity is, if we did that, what would be I follow a Twitter account that I probably shouldn't acknowledge that I follow it, but it's called Terrible Maps. And
okay,
they had a map yesterday, the day before. What was the most used word in each state's Wikipedia article? In all 50 states, the word was "the." And
yeah,
big surprise.
So
big shock.
I'm curious. I might do that. I might grab all the episodes, worm through.
Do it.
Yeah,
actually, I'd love to do that analysis, and I think you can do it pretty much automatically now. I think even maybe the paid version of ChatGPT will actually download and listen and transcribe every single episode.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'll
it's
look.
probably pretty easy to do.
I'm in the middle of I'm finishing up a big pen test right now, so I'm a little busy, but once I get done with that, I'll look at it because I'm just curious. We talk about and I'm probably the worst to blame. Is what was the quote you said? The crazy shirted guy
in the top right corner.
We've had comments on our YouTube that they didn't know your name. I guess maybe they're not listening to the podcast. I have no idea, but they just said the guy with the crazy shirt said this.
Well, and it fits. It's funny that if they don't know my name, I'm actually thinking about changing my name. So
yeah. So. But his name is Kevin for all of the listeners and people watching this.
The Kevin part I'm not changing. It's going to say Kevin.
Please keep Kevin because
it's what you call
Yeah, I always find the comments on our YouTube extremely fascinating. I mean, we've shared some of those in the past. We've had everything from, I mean, I just remember even back in COVID and just some of the comments were, let's just say interesting, but they're entertaining. And we appreciate the comments, to be honest.
And I wonder how many of our current listeners actually heard like the shared security or the social media security podcast, right?
Social media security, correct? Because I kept calling it the Social Security podcast, and that was wrong.
That's a different podcast altogether.
It's really different topic.
Yeah. So actually, let's talk about that real quick, because I had mentioned that we have done 525 episodes. Well, technically, it'll be 527 when this is released, episodes in total. And the reason for that number is because Scott and I actually did a monthly show that wasn't as frequent, and we had a totally different numbering system for that. I think it went up to like 100 something, right? Yeah. And then we started the weekly show, I think it was in 2015, around the time that we changed the name from the Social Media Security Podcast to Shared Security.
And you were doing a monthly and a weekly. So you sort of had two branches, right?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. And so we had different numbering for both. And instead of just like making the cut of like, okay, we're starting over or combining it, we just kept that other one. And then we just dropped the monthly show and went to full weekly. So that is why there are technically well over 500 episodes.
You had no idea how confusing it was going to be when we had to celebrate episode numbers.
I know, isn't it? So
that's the problem. Yeah, you don't plan ahead.
I actually, though, find the 400 of the weekly show, this means that we've been doing this show every week for 400 episodes. Like, that's really impressive. And even outside of just the best ofs and, sometimes I pre-record interviews and things like that, because we all like to take vacation and time off. And we still all manage to come together on really, a frequent basis. Yep. For 400 episodes. I mean,
I'll share a little secret. It's one of the best parts of this. I shouldn't say it's the best part, but what's cool is at the end of the year, like December timeframe, I get these reminders from ISACA to renew my CISA certification. And I've got to do continuing professional education, right? And how do I account for that stuff? I have 50 hours every year
you do
of CPEs.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that. Just a tip to people out there: if you're looking for CPEs, start a podcast, do it weekly.
I've for years, I've never understood. Talk about CPEs. I've never understood how people struggle with collecting them. I understand struggling with recording them, right? Like, because I very often I don't submit these.
Yeah.
But that's because I go to so many conferences and attend so many talks and things like that. That I don't have any problem catching my 120 to 3 years for ISC2.
Same thing.
Yeah.
But I also use the podcast for that. Yeah.
And it's just nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. And just kind of thinking of the history too, this came up. I was on a new podcast that Kathleen Smith, I think both of you know Kathleen, she's been on the show before. She started a podcast called the Exit Buddy podcast, where veterans are helping, people in the military transition out of the military into a civilian career. And so I was talking about kind of my military transition back in the day. And do you know whose name came up, Scott? Do you remember Kevin Riggins?
Yes, I do.
Oh, yeah, I know Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kevin has passed. I think he passed away a couple of years ago.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that, but
no.
But Kevin was actually the one that introduced me to Scott's back in the day.
That goes way back to the days of Michael Santarcangelo's Security Catalyst. And I actually started something called the Streetwise Security Zone.
That's right.
Which was a membership site that nobody really wanted to collaborate on. I didn't realize that security people don't want to collaborate because
we don't like people.
I don't want to tell you my vulnerabilities.
Oh.
Yeah, we hate people too. So but that was because Kevin and we did that DEF CON talk in 2009, Social Zombies. And I was thinking of starting a podcast just talking about social media, security vulnerabilities, privacy, all of that. And I was looking for a co-host at the time. And I had talked to Kevin Riggins, who I think was connected with you, Scott.
Yep.
And he had said, you need to meet this guy, Scott Wright, the Streetwise Security Zone. And then that's where we started talking. And then I had you on the show. And then it was like episode 2. Kevin was our special guest.
He was our special guest.
Yeah.
Episode 2.
Yeah, in episode 2.
That was when it was pretty, like, Facebook was just riddled with.
Yeah.
And you know what we also talked a lot about in those days was Flash.
Yes.
And
gosh.
Adobe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Cold Fusion.
Odd.
All those days. Yes. Yeah. Those are really the golden days of hacking, in my opinion.
Because I'd say a high percentage of our episodes were on technical vulnerabilities and
within social networks,
application security and social networks.
Yeah, because Kevin and I remember when we were speaking at DEF CON and the Facebook developers in their tracksuits came up to us and they're like, you can't really do the stuff that you just demoed to everybody on stage at DEF CON.
I remember looking at you and like, how, what, how?
I know.
I
was so confused. Then they're like, didn't you guys go to the Facebook party? And we're like, no, no one gave us an invite. What the hell? Yeah.
Yep.
So...
But things have changed. Some things have changed. Some things have not, right?
I find the things that haven't changed fascinating. Over 16 years of doing this podcast, and there's some themes, right, that just haven't gone away. I mean...
Well, I think that, many of the ones that we say haven't changed have actually got worse.
Yes. They have.
I think privacy is the biggest one, and it's just running downhill every day. I think it's interesting that more people are thinking of it, but not fixing it.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. And to go along with that, all the data breaches and incidents and those things have not stopped. Like it feels a lot of the times in our industry that we just haven't made much headway, and we're still addressing the same problems that we've had since the beginning. I mean, SQL injection, Kevin. How old is that vulnerability? Like
87 years old.
Right? Like, and we still find it on pen tests. So.
I actually want to say, didn't RP it's almost 30.
Almost 30, yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, because I remember also another one that comes up. I only learned about this quite long after the fact, but somebody said, you got to read the 6 dumbest things about cybersecurity. It was a blog post by Marcus Random in 2005.
Yeah. Marcus is a great guy.
And one of his things was, in 10 years, there will be no more security education. You won't need it because people will just have grown up thinking, knowing what the risks are and how to manage them. That aged well.
I can't even imagine Marcus saying that.
That is interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Because Marcus is a smart guy. I mean, it happens.
Yep.
But
it's just the way we try and predict the future. And it goes, I hate to say it, but sometimes, the things that Bruce Schneier says about how bad we are at managing risks, or having them in context, right? People are afraid of shark attacks, but more people get killed by wild hogs than...
Yeah, it's always weird. Yeah. It's always some weird stat like that. It's the same thing. Like you see all these airplane crashes and, issues, wheels falling off the plane and all that. But statistically, you're more likely to get killed in a car accident than die in an airplane crash. But we all are more afraid of the airplane crash scenario, but we all drive every day, right? Like it's nothing.
Yes.
So,
but we aren't good at risk assessments.
No.
And I find that in many cases, the people whose job it is to do risk assessments are worse at. And I think it's the focus, right? You're so focused on the risk assessment for that context.
Absolutely.
I'll give you a stupid example of something dumb I did yesterday. So I realized that my tag, it hadn't expired, but the sticker was old. So it looked like, the sticker that, they give you a sticker, they don't give you a new tag, and you put it on the tag, and it looked like it had either fallen off or somebody had stolen it. So I went to the DMV yesterday to get a new one. And the lady at the counter, I had an appointment. So I walked up to check in for my appointment and was like, no problem. We'll call your number 8024 and let you know what window to go to. And I said, oh, can we write that number down? And the woman looked at me like I was the dumbest person in the world and said, yeah, we can. And she got a piece of paper and she wrote down 8024. And when she wrote down, that's when I realized it's the last 4 digits of my phone numbers. Well,
oh my gosh.
Like, I felt stupid, but
yep.
You know, the reality is I was thinking of it more like a deli. You know, you pull a ticket, you get a number and you go. Like, it didn't even cross my mind to think about the number as something relevant to me. Right. Yep. It's the same thing with risk assessments, right? We don't think through.
That's actually, it's funny you should mention that, because it's the reason that I veered off of the path of engineering. I'm an engineer by training, right? And I was doing IT security risk assessments. I learned to do them with the Canadian government on a lot of projects I was on. And the interesting thing was they had a grid methodology, but every risk report had these lists of unresolved risks, and they were all human stuff, right? Passwords and data exposures and, you know, social engineering and things like that. Well, those are not in scope, so we're good. You know, the risks are all good.
Yeah. No issue. We can't fix those.
And that's why I decided to go into security awareness, because I thought somebody's going to have to address all these attackers that decide, the technology's too hard. I'm just going to go for the people.
Well, look, I mean, you've started a company around that, right? And look how that has all grown. Over the years.
It's pretty cool, the feedback we get on it.
Yeah. Do you guys have like a favorite episode that we did that you remember that was kind of top of mind? What do you got, Scott?
I think it was Jason Street when he was talking about his wife and he'd left the keys somewhere. Do you remember that story?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Jason always has interesting stories.
Yeah. And the awkward hugs.
Yep. He's always got something that he's done.
Well, he actually, I think it was in the same episode. The main reason I remember that episode was because he penetration tested the wrong bank.
Yes. Yeah. Right. That's what he's known for. Yeah. He always tells that story. And he was in Lebanon, too, of all countries, doing that. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely one. We've had some great guests on the show before. I mean, I think back to when we had Rachel Toback.
Yeah.
Early on in the show, and she's always been a great guest. She's been on a few times too. And for me, I think the one episode we did on the AI toilet cameras was, and that's actually one of our most listened and downloaded and watched episodes.
And I think
I
missed that one. I don't think I was actually on that.
Yeah, I think it was the thumbnail that did it for that one, because you know how like the YouTube algorithm is, and we had a toilet and AI, and like it just checked all the boxes. So, that was a good one. But yeah, I've got a lot of good memories of just the guests we've had, the conversations, censoring Kevin.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The fun stuff.
Why would you censor me?
Yeah, because there's only been a few episodes I've had to make explicit, and it's only because I was too lazy to cut out the swear words. So.
I believe it.
But that's okay.
I can't decide whether the episode with Alyssa Miller, who I'm biased.
That was good.
She's awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's one of my favorite people. Or I've always enjoyed not the prediction episode. I hate making predictions.
Or end of your episode, right? Yeah.
But I've always loved let's see how well we did on the predictions. Which is dumb, right? You would think if I like the one, I should like the other. But
they're both in the same episode.
I know.
We review last year's and then do our next.
But I only like the part when we talk about how bad we predicted.
I mean, we've done a pretty good job. It's varied over the years.
Yeah.
It's just varied. Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. I mean, some of the things are very predictable. Like, AI is going to just increase. Really? Yes. Of course it is.
But it would be interesting. I mean, we had no idea at the end of 2021 what was going to happen with AI by the end of 2022, right? So,
yeah. But we have fun with it. And we've had plenty of Terminator and Skynet references that I've used in the episodes. And then the one clip I actually really took off too on YouTube, the one short where Kevin said that he was an AI snitch. and would tell the AI world humans are hiding so they could destroy us.
I have no issue with that. I have no issue.
I see. Yeah, still has no issue with that. Yeah. Well, what do you guys think the podcast of the future here? Like, what, do you guys feel that we should be doing the same? Like, we've kind of changed the theme, not the theme of the podcast, but like when I was starting this, the weekly show, it was all about the news and the latest topics. And then I've noticed that we've kind of shifted a little more away from the news in the last couple of years and more towards just hot topics, things that we hear people in the industry talking about. And I've tried to focus the topics more on that than the news. And the news kind of supplements things because you can't always not talk about what's going on, like the latest data breach or whatever, right? It's applicable to whatever the topic is we're talking about. So I'm just curious for your thoughts on
it's interesting. I saw your counts of how many episodes we've covered certain topics on. And, for a long time, it was like every week was an amazing new data breach, right? And so we did talk a lot about data breaches in many of those episodes 10 years ago, probably, right?
Yeah.
But we don't anymore because there's just so many. It's not novel anymore to have data breaches. No. But now what's novel is, AI has taken over everything. Now there's new forms of things that are happening that are, deeply related to AI. And so I think that's kind of probably where the themes are going to start focusing more. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think, Kevin?
I like what we're doing. I would ask listeners to say if they wanted us to change something, let us know. If there's a topic you want us to focus on or a format or whatever. But I will say though, I recognize that the format we have right now is a lot of work on you because you build out a bunch of stuff up front that makes it easier for Scott and I to prepare, and then on the back end, you do a lot of the work. So I like what we're doing. I think it's going well. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that.
And when we all get old enough, we'll each have our own AI avatar that will just be speaking for us and it will really be us.
That's right.
I think you were saying enough as in like acknowledging the fact we're already old.
Yeah. Yes. I will say too that I think I've seen the evolution of podcasts and I look at the downloads we've had over the years and I really think like during the pandemic was like the peak of the podcast because I think more people were listening to podcasts because they were all locked in their houses and, had nothing to do. And literally like the spike in podcasts, I mean, I've never seen it that large in the entire time we've been doing the show. And then since the pandemic, it's really kind of gone down and it's stayed about the same now. And I think the reason too, and I talked to a lot of other podcasters, but more podcasts have moved to video and they've moved to YouTube as one of the primary ways that people they like watching and listening to podcasts through YouTube. And I've actually seen that change with our listener base as well. I've talked to a few listeners. They said they used to be on Apple Podcasts or whatever, but they've also moved to YouTube Music or just watching the videos and listening to them on their phones. So I think the way that podcasts are consumed these days has changed quite a bit since we started this in 2009. I mean, we were kind of at the cusp of this new thing called a podcast, if you remember, Scott. I mean,
yeah.
People would still tell me, like, you guys are one of the longest running cybersecurity podcasts out there.
Interesting.
And there's really only like maybe 4 or 5 of us still left.
Well, Security Now was the first one I used to listen to, right? And I still do.
They're still around.
They're in their 1300th episode or something now. And so Steve Gibson and Leo. But that was in 2004. It was one of the very first podcasts I ever listened to.
Yeah. Like I go back to Paul's Security Weekly.
Yeah.
Paul Asadorian has been doing it for a little bit longer than we have with Larry Pesci. Rafalos, with the Down the Security Rabbit Hole podcast. Shout out to Raf. He's been, we've been neck and neck in episodes since around the same time. And there's just not many left. And it's funny because the meme these days is, well, everybody's got a podcast, right?
I say it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, you got a podcast, so does a million other people, right? And I just think we're different. We're not like on this bandwagon of we're just doing a podcast to do a podcast. Like we've got a lot of history behind what we've done and what we continue to do. So
it's very unique.
Yep, for sure. So, well, with that, I think a good time to thank everybody again for listening to the podcast, watching the podcast. We really do appreciate all of you just being with us for the 16 years of the podcast, and we're going to keep doing more of it. And like Scott and Kevin said, please send us your feedback. It's probably time that I did another survey for the podcast. It's been a number of years, so I'll be doing a listener survey here soon, and we want to hear your feedback. So you all are appreciated, and thanks for supporting the show over all the years, and to our couple of Patreon supporters as well. We appreciate you. So thank you. Every little bit helps to help fund the podcast and pay the bills.
And thanks to Tom for continuing to broadcast it.
You are welcome. So thanks again, everyone, for listening. And until next time, stay safe, stay secure, and stay private. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode. Be sure to subscribe wherever you like to get your podcasts. Visit sharedsecurity.net for merch, previous episodes, and more. If you'd like to help support the podcast, join our Patreon to get ad-free episodes and many more exclusive supporter-only benefits. Visit sharedsecurity.net/supporter for more details.